Right. Hello, everyone. Um, I was watching the screens the whole time as Simon was talking. They're a perfect opportunity for yourselves to tweet with that hashtag what your company does. So that's a great networking opportunity before you have the proper networking break. So why not spam the shit out of that if you want with what your company does before we start? Um, I have a presentation here that's about 20 minutes long, and I've got about 40 minutes. So to actually quote what Tom Cruise said in Magnolia, I'm going to respect the clock. And so what I want to talk about today is this is me on Twitter. If you are on Twitter, you can follow me. I want to talk about my experience running the social media awards this year and running a conference called Measurement.ie that I ran in February, and just how I used social media to get more attention for it and get more ticket sales. So my big metric for both conferences, for both events, was ticket sales. So these are some of the winners of the social media awards this year. So we got everyone on stage at the very, very end, and they're all the various foam props that we used. And it's not really social media, but there's a guy called Fran Hollywood that makes all these props the whole time. Every event that I do, everything gets stolen. You can kind of see the podium there on the left-hand side, so it's for Bord Gas Energy. Last year, someone stole the podium. I mean, it says Bord Gas Energy Social Media Awards 2011, it was last year, on it, and someone actually nicked it. But photographs were going all around the web of all the various props that were taken and reused, and the hashtag was on a lot of them. So for the next couple of days after these events, there was still photographs being put up with people happy with their little props and things that they nicked. I did the blog awards in Galway years back, and we were mocking the Irish Times did an article about blogging being dead. So we had a funeral for blogging, and we had a procession, and we actually had a coffin, and someone stole a coffin at the event. But if you make small little things like that people can take photographs, it spreads like mad, and it spreads for a long time afterwards as well. We also had a ball pit this year at the social media awards. So we actually filled a big paddling pool with balls so that people could jump in. And it was great fun as well until the pool started emptying of balls and people were diving into it and they were getting drunker, and then elbows started getting harmed and stuff. But I didn't pay for the insurance, the Mansion House did, so I was okay with that. Anyway, so Measurement.ie, this is it. It ran this year, it'll run next year as well. And all my ticket sales were exclusively sold via tweets. All I did in terms of getting attention for that conference was tweet about it. And every time I tweeted about the fact that there was 50 tickets sold, 150 tickets sold, I see a new wave of people buying tickets in the next 15 minutes to about 3 hours afterwards. So I could tell just from the tweets that I was doing that they were actually generating sales. So my sponsor for the event was Done Deal, and they wanted to do traditional PR, which was fine, but we didn't actually need any PR or any traditional media as such to do it. We just tweeted about it, we had the website, and that was it. I didn't use a Facebook page or anything like that. For the social media awards, I did use a Facebook page. So a lot of questions. Simon has done this, so there is a little bit of overlap in this. So questions are, who are your customers, and where are your customers, and do you know how to talk to them? Are you talking to people in the same industry? Are you using the same kind of language they're using? Or are you going after consumers? So you need to change your language, obviously, for your audience. And now a question that we're going to be looking at in the next while is, where are they before, during, and after your events? And this is very, very important for build-up especially, and then to continue to build up through your event and afterwards. So there's a slide later on talking about the fact that geography is dead and time is also dead when it comes to events, that it goes for much, much longer. RT and the digital player that they have, they're after seeing now that more and more people are watching programs time shifted. They'll watch them when they want to. And that's very, very important as well. And it's the same for your event. If you record it, like it's being recorded here, people could discover for the first time 3 months afterwards. It mightn't be live on the day. Someone could only discover your company and what you do because of a YouTube link that they got a couple of months later via Twitter or Facebook. So online, where are people? Everyone is using Google. So Social media is huge, and as been alluded to as well, everyone is a social media guru and expert selling their services. But Google is still the most important thing for your business, and being found on Google and being found for the right things on Google. So normally when I talk to a company and they're all, show us Twitter, it's amazing, I always get them to go back first to their own website to make sure that they're found on Google. YouTube, 400,000 active users of YouTube in this country, millions and hundreds of millions around the world, and YouTube is hugely underused by all businesses. For any event that you're doing, you're about to do, if you do some YouTube videos, tag them properly, put the right titles in them, you can own the front page of Google for your event name or for the industry type of event that you're doing because of YouTube videos and your own website. There's now 900 million people using Facebook. They'll probably announce in the next couple of months that there's 1 billion people. And a user by Facebook's definition is someone that logs in at least once a month. So there's well over 1 billion accounts, but active users, 900 million. And there's 2.4 million in Ireland alone. And at least half of them are on it every single day. So if you haven't got some sort of corporate policy to stop your employees wasting time, you need to have one fairly soon because they're all there. But I'll be looking at mobile in a couple of seconds. It doesn't matter now, even if you do shut off the computers from accessing these places, they're on their phones doing it anyway. There's about 450,000 people on LinkedIn in Ireland. Per capita, we have the most LinkedIn users in the world, but yet we completely underutilize it. Most people, you put your hands up earlier on, have a profile but don't actively use Facebook. It's something that you just update every now and again. And I guess a nice kind of tell when it comes to people that are about to jump ship is there's huge activity on their LinkedIn profile, and they update their status. They add about 50, 60 new connections. So I have this little thing you see it on Twitter every now and again between people going, did you see a profile of you know who being updated recently? And then there's a little bet to see how quickly that they'll quit the company. So we're 300,000 people on Twitter in Ireland, and about 100,000 maybe are actively using it per day. Much, much smaller than Facebook, as you can see, but probably more powerful. I always see Facebook maybe as a marketing thing, and I see Twitter as a PR thing. It's amazing for communications and for networking, building up great relationships with people because of a couple of tweets. I follow about 990 people on Twitter. It's sad, I know, but my excuse is I'm on it a long, long time. But if we were to go through everyone's individual profile, I could tell you where they work, what they do, probably some of their family background from all these interactions over time. Small, subtle interactions, but you learn an awful lot about people. And you build up trust with these people before you ever meet them. And it's the same for conferences nowadays. Any kind of event, there's that pre-build-up and relationship building. And you can drag a lot more people to events because of the likes of Twitter and because of those relationships being built over time. Half the people in this country are now using smartphones, and that number is going to increase. All new phones that are being bought nowadays are smartphone or smartphone capable, which means it's got an internet connection and it has probably apps, and Facebook and Twitter would all be pre-installed as well. The next version of Apple software on phones has Facebook and Twitter integration, full integration. It already has Twitter integration, now Facebook. So every little thing that you do on your phone now, you can Facebook about it. So even more noise going to Facebook. For me, for someone that does digital marketing, this slide comes from a company called Kleiner Perkins, and they're the people, they're VCs, some of you probably heard about them. They invested in all the big tech companies before they got big, and they made billions as a result. So they have a huge research wing predicting what comes next. They were, before the iPad 3 came out, they were predicting that iPads were going to be absolutely massive. And they are, and they will be for the next couple of years. And they saw this happening, and they said there's going to be huge growth over the next while in mobile traffic and iPad usage, and you need to change your website and so on. But what they're showing right now is all this stuff that's happening on mobile, it's still just under 1 billion people are doing this when there's 6 billion mobile phones on the planet. So the next couple of years, you're going to see a huge, huge push to mobile, and going from 25 to 30% of traffic to your website right now from mobile phones to probably going to 70 or 80%. So it's all mobile in the next couple of years. So going back to what I was saying earlier about Google, what you really want as a business, as an individual, is you want to own the front page of Google. So you do that by having a good website. So when someone Googles your name, you're there. Same for an event. If someone Googles the name of the event, you want to be first on Google for that. but you also want the other links and the other results in Google to also be about you, either directly or indirectly. Directly being like Twitter properties that you own, Facebook pages that you own, Google Plus for the 4 people that use it right now. You need to have a profile like that. So owning the front page is important. But probably more important is that you just have a kind of a single point where all those other properties are all pointing into one. So if any of you have done crisis communications before, you know that if a crisis happens, especially with something online, you pick a place that's going to be referenced by everything that you do, and you always punt people to that one single space. And that's what you do with an event that you're running. It all goes to that one page. So say for measurement.ie, it all goes to measurement.ie website. For Social Media Awards, it was a Social Media Awards website, and you drive traffic that way. So Twitter will reference the website, Facebook will reference the website, you get people to reference the website as well. And all your profiles that you have. So use them all and use them all on a regular basis, and just remind people, because people do need reminding. There's so much noise in social media that you need people to be aware and constantly aware of what you're doing. You just need to find the right level or the right balance between spamming and informing. A huge thing as well, and the lads kind of mentioned it previously, is this idea of outreach. So using traditional media. So for example, again, if you're running an event and it's still mostly an online event, getting coverage in traditional media means you get coverage on their website as well. And for me and for a lot of the clients that I work with, it's the online coverage is actually more important than the print coverage. So getting the Irish Times to talk about you means their website will talk about you, and they may link to you. So they're changing their policy about linking in the past while, and they're actually now linking out from their website to your website, or to your doing that as well. And they're very, very powerful online if you were mentioned in those places. So work hard using traditional PR to get that online coverage. And then work with bloggers and people on Twitter as well, just about your event, letting them know in advance, maybe giving them a preview, giving them free tickets. A lot of the stuff I do with my events, say the award events like Social Media Awards, is I have judges, and I give free tickets to the judges because they put in the time of doing the judges. So we had 100 judges this year because all nominations are judged through 2 rounds and all that kind of stuff. So to pay judges would cost me a fortune, so I just give them free tickets. And they're hugely enthused as a result of that. And without me having to say, tweet the hell out of my hashtag or whatever it is, they'll do it anyway because they now are on your side and they're happy to push that. So doing this outreach idea is very important. And it's always been done, again, with traditional media, but you want to use it with online media as well. And there's this new thing that's happening in the past while about social signals. And you'll all probably see it when you Google something now, you get results back, and you might see, if you're on Twitter, some of the results will list someone that you're connected to on Twitter and what they've tweeted out, or on Facebook and what they've mentioned on Google+. All search results are different for most people now. It's all kind of personalized search. It's based on the geographic area that you're in, but also who you're connected to. And Google won't admit it, but they're looking at Facebook profiles and pages, number of likes, number of comments on their status updates. They're looking at Twitter and who you're connected to as well, and they'll change the results based on that. And what they're promising in the next while is that if you put stuff on Google+, that's going to have a distinct advantage over just normal online media. And there's the FTC are looking into that because they're talking about monopolistic behavior and so on. But social media profiles that are talking about your event and linking to that event are very, very important nowadays. And it feeds directly into people's personalized search results. And most people's search results are personalized now. So just be aware of that. In the events that I do, there's this constant idea of building momentum. Simon talked about that as well. So you need to let people know that something is happening. So what I normally do for events, and the guy from the Clarny Convention Centre asked a question recently enough about stuff that stays in the room and all this, so don't tweet the next bit, please. So when I say with Social Media Awards and I'll tweet out going, brilliant, 50 tickets have been sold and like momentum is growing, so I'll tweet something like this, we now stand at 250. So no tickets are sold, but when I tweet 50 tickets have been sold, and people go, shit, I better get a ticket. and then I see 50 tickets being sold in the next couple of hours. And it's the same at 100. I'm not at 100, but it's not a lie because I'm looking into the future and I see the 100 tickets being sold. But it's this mentality of, see?
You know you're being streamed, don't you?
Shit. Thanks for the reminder. Yes, I'm being streamed, so the people that are streaming don't record us. So you do need to push that. And again, it's the balance of letting them know that stuff is being sold. And there's this big thing in social media that you're almost saying other people have bought a ticket. You should be buying a ticket. So you say 100 tickets being sold, 200, there's great build up. So you're creating a buzz, and then other people will get on board as a result of that and start tweeting about it as well and getting their tickets. Because in previous experience, and I've had this for some events, you get 80% of your tickets are sold in the last 2 days of an event because people are waiting for other people. And the usual Irish thing, are you going? I don't know, will I go? I'll go if you go. Well, I'll go if you go. And it goes on like that. So if you use social media to say, well, there's loads of people going, you don't know who they are, but they're going, then people will actually start buying tickets. And as just for my own thing, because it's just my own business and I'm running this, you can kind of pace yourself. You can see how much money is coming in, and it's a trickle or a slow flow is better than at the very last minute lots of people booking their tickets. Especially if I'm using some places and I have to say in advance how many people are going to be there and how much food needs to be there, and if I'm paying for an open bar at the start, how much money do I need to have behind the bar besides at 4 o'clock that day asking them can they add another 100 places or something like that. So it's that kind of idea. Using hashtags are important, Simon mentioned that, but using hashtags in advance as well. Because going back to Google, you see lots of people during the European Championships there's loads of people going, what's this hashtag COYBIG, come on you boys in green, is what it was. And there's other people going, the hashtag COYBIG stands for come on you boys in green. And people go, oh, okay, right, I thought it was some band. But let people know in advance and build up the momentum so that when someone does that Google search for that hashtag, they'll come to your website again and other places that you control. So it directs people that way. But there's this kind of rule, it's just kind of in marketing and communications anyway. A lot of people don't pay attention to something until they maybe have it mentioned in their timeline or in front of them maybe 3 times. So they see something around maybe 3 or 4 times and then it actually, they grasp it, then they pay attention. And it's the same for hashtags. So for the social media awards, we just used the Sockies hashtag because social media awards is so long. So the Irish Web Awards are called the Irish Web Awards, but people call them the Webbies because it's easier to say that than Irish Web Awards. And the same kind of thing happened with the social media awards. So we call it the Sockies, and no one was using it, luckily enough. So we latched onto that, and we use it every year. And some people use Sockies, some people use Sockies 12, Sockies 11, that kind of thing. But it works. Plus, we're trying for it to be informal enough, so it works for us. It mightn't work for other events. You might have to be clearer on what the event is. But it did kind of work. And going back to this enforcing behavior thing, or letting people know about ticket sales and so on, it's very good to thank people. So if someone retweets your stuff, just come back to them and go, thanks for that mention, or thanks for tweeting that, or responding and interacting with people. And there's this kind of psychological thing as well, that you should be rewarding good behavior. And a retweet is rewarding some sort of behavior, or just thanking people for their endorsement or letting them know. That helps as well. Plus, with the social media awards, when we're retweeting other people, so like Rob Davis giving out that there isn't a Bebo category in the social media awards, we just retweeted that. And it went out to people that are following us. And what it said as well is, maybe if you interact with us, we'll also retweet that. So it feeds the ego as well. And what you're saying is, well, if you want to tweet about us, we'll probably retweet that as well. And so people are encouraged to do that. And there's a big thing between people looking at what you do and seeing what you do and kind of being let know that it's okay for them to also contribute and put something in. So you want that activation part as well of communications, where you're saying it's okay or it's cool to tweet about us, and we'll probably retweet you. So Simon has mentioned all of this, so I'm going to have to blow through this quite quickly. But Facebook, for a lot of stuff, is very, very good. I mean, it's got the volume, it's got lots of people in there. They've made loads of good changes in the past while as well for businesses to push messages out there. So if even if you're maybe exclusively B2B, there's probably some of your audience are still on Facebook. And where all this interaction happens on Facebook really is the in profiles, personal profiles. You see it coming through a personal profile in this newsfeed idea. So, whoops, here we go. So the news feed or this timeline is where we see everything that's happening. And they've made subtle changes in the past 2 weeks, but they're powerful for businesses that now when a friend of ours likes a photograph or likes an event, the whole thing gets displayed in our timeline as well. So it's disconcerting actually when it started about 2 weeks ago that you see a friend of yours commenting on a photograph and the whole full photograph is showing up in your timeline. For a business, it's great because you're now pushing your marketing message into a lot more timelines. The average person in Ireland has 160 friends on Facebook. So if they interact with your business, that one person interacts with a business, there's potentially up to 160 people will see that interaction. And if you use a big photograph, that's much better than just a piece of text as well. So photographs are huge on Facebook. That's why they bought Instagram for too much money. And there's about 300 million photographs uploaded every single day. So it's a very big photo site. There's trillions actually of photographs on Facebook now. But if you were to do updates about events and maybe have photographs of past events, which I do myself on our own Facebook pages and on Twitter going, here's lots of people enjoying themselves last year, people will interact with that, might tag themselves or something like that, or say, this looks good, I might come along. And all their friends are now being told about it as well. So again, this is the Social Media Awards Facebook page. So you can see the crowd behind it with all their icons. And what we normally do is we'll have some photographs, we'll see that they're fun. Every update that we do on our Facebook page will generally have either video content or photographic content, because if you do a 2-line update, that's 2 lines. That's 2 lines in somebody's timeline with a lot of other lines and updates, whereas a photograph takes up more space. So just doing that alone can help. But if people like the photograph, they'll interact, they'll comment, and it gets pushed out there. In the past while as well, Facebook has said that a normal status update that you push out through your business reaches maybe 20% of your actual fan base at most. And so that's why we all have to do updates a couple of times a week to get different parts of the same audience to actually see what we do. So maybe if we do 4 updates a week, then we might get to 60% of our actual fan base. The reason they don't see it is there's lots of other stuff flowing through. They mightn't log in until 6 o'clock. We did an update at 2 o'clock. By then, 15 other businesses that they like have also done updates. So we're way down, and they're not going to scroll back through 2 or 3 hours of content. So Facebook has brought out a tool now that pretty much guarantees, you have to pay them of course, but that your status update that you push out will be seen by 80 to 90% of your fan base within 2 days. And what they do is they monitor your fans, they see when they log in, when they're active, and then they'll push your update back into their main feed again, so it's seen by them. And it's cheap enough. I think it's something like for $5, you can reach all 1,000 of your fans. So like the Social Media Awards, I did a test with them. And we have 777 fans, and they said for $5, or for €5, sorry, we guarantee that it'll be seen by all your fans in the next 2 days. So it's cheap enough. If you're to do it every single day, it's going to cost. But if there's something specifically you want to highlight, these promoted updates can actually work very, very well. And nowadays as well on Facebook, Simon was talking about it or using Twitter earlier on, and to time his tweets. So I think what he wanted to do was he wanted to tweet from a fake account with a hashtag saying, God, Simon is really dashing, that guy on stage is fantastic, really great talk. They didn't show up though. But you can now time your updates on Facebook on your business page as well. And there's no charge for that. And you just say, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to do this. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to remind people. And at 5 o'clock, I'm going to do a final reminder as well. And you can do that on all your Facebook pages. And you also get metrics on your Facebook pages. So you'll actually see who saw your updates, who interacted with your updates, and you can actually get the demographic breakdown as well. So more women than men saw your updates in the past while, more men than women interacted with those updates. So that's all there. So you can actually evaluate over time what's the best message to use, what's the best time to use when you send stuff out, so you get maximum effect for little to no money. And the last thing, Simon talked about this already, is events. Events are big on Facebook because it's a giant stalking tool. Everything you do, your friends see it. So I like a photograph, my friends see it. If I subscribe to an event, my friends get to see this. And I can also invite those friends in. So when I say I'm going to come to meet Smarter through the Facebook event listing, my friends get told about that. And maybe they have the same interest as me. So they might go, oh, okay, he's going, I'll go. Or I didn't know this was on, so I'll go as well. But also, Facebook events are findable in Google. So it also helps for Google traffic as well. So if someone is just doing what's good to do in Killarney this week, a Facebook event might actually show up in Google search results as well. So they mightn't see it as such inside in Facebook. They might see it outside of Facebook and then come into Facebook after that. So events are very good for that. And you're seeing this more and more with all types of events and event technology. That be it Facebook or I've forgotten all the other names, but all the other tools out there to buy tickets online, it's this idea. Ticketmaster are doing it inside in Facebook too. Damien is going to this event. And again, the subtle message is maybe you should go along. Because they've done analysis on people on Facebook and people on social networks. And the likes of Google and Facebook, even if you don't say what age you are, what gender you are, what sexuality you are, Facebook knows it already because of who you hang around with on those social networks. So they have something like an 80% chance of being right about your age, your gender, your sexuality, the country that you're in, the city that you're in, because of what your friends are interested in and what they're doing. Because we stick in the same groups and the same kind of likings as well. And it's the same for events. It's actually, in Ireland, it can be the other way around. It can be slightly detrimental that you look at an event, you go, oh, he's going. I'm not going to go if he's going. Or, oh, look at that company. I don't like that company. I'm not going to go. So, but it's worth testing out anyway. And the last thing is ads. How many people here have used Facebook ads for events? Go on, you can put your hands up higher. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. So the ad system on Facebook is absolutely fantastic. The ads look ugly as hell, but the system is brilliant because anything you put in to Facebook, someone can run an ad against that. So my example here was a very niche thing, that if I was running a singles night for men who are Top Gear fans, I bang this into the ad system on Facebook and it's telling me there's 3,200 people that are probably interested in this, because I've said, right, only show this ad to people who live in Ireland, who are 25, who are male, who are fans of Top Gear and who are single. And that ad will only be seen by them. So we can have an ad with semi-naked women sprawled on cars talking about a Top Gear singles night, and that's going to get their attention. So it can be good for that. And even, again, if it's B2B, and so your audience is possibly not on Facebook, there's plenty of people that have said that they work in Google and Microsoft and Cisco and all these other companies on their personal profiles. And you can run an ad to them. And I have even done a test where my ad is only seen by people that work in the department of Taoiseach. It only ran from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, excluded lunch breaks and excluded tea breaks. And you can do that. And you're paying, if someone clicks on the ad, you're paying 50 cents to maybe €1 at most for that. But it goes out there. So it can be actually quite good for that. And if you are B2B, I'd probably ignore the idea of pages and stuff like that, but go after the ad system. The ad system, and even if you even aren't running ads, the ad system will still give you the numbers. So you've got an idea at least of who's on Facebook in that demographic. And we can also, the last thing is we can also target by geographic area. So I can say target people in Dublin, target people in Cork that fit that criteria. Unfortunately, with our broadband being as bad as it is, it doesn't have great numbers for that geographic location information. In other countries it does. So you could target people in one borough of London for your event that's happening in London, and only they'll see it. So, just moving on to Twitter. Simon's covered that, setting up a profile. You have to really set up a profile. Twitter is amazing for B2B and B2C, and just for building contacts too. So everyone should have a profile, even if you're not going to use it, just so somebody else doesn't nick it. There's an event. Foodies are particularly good when it comes to running events, and the amount of food-related events that have happened in the past 2 years solely because of Twitter are huge. So some of you may have heard of the Inishowen Food Festival that happened there a couple of weeks back. So it happened on May 19th, 20th, 21st, I think. And these food bloggers from all over the country drove up to deepest, darkest Donegal, and just went around the Inishowen Peninsula and met farmers, met people that are producing their own stuff, met the fishermen, actually went fishing as well around the peninsula, and just had an amazing event. And they all tweeted about it, even with crappy 2G connections, and hashtagged it and put up photographs, and all these people from around Ireland and around the world were going, oh my God, that's fantastic. Oh my God, Inishowen is looking amazing. And it all pretty much started with one guy called Donald who co-owns Harry's restaurant in Bregend in Inishowen with his brother. And they just started it. And they made all these connections through Twitter. And you're seeing all the top chefs in the country now, they're all talking to each other on Twitter. So the Michelin star chefs are all on Twitter talking to each other and going to events and meeting up. And it's actually enriching their own industry as a result. And they're trying things out like pop-up restaurants. So I don't know, has anyone been to the Cliff House in Ardmore? So the chef there, Martin, is about 7 foot. He's huge. But he went up to Inishowen because of all of this stuff that was happening. He went up and he was actually cooking stuff up there as well and doing it pro bono just because he enjoyed what people were doing. So you can see them tweeting from coffee houses up in Inishowen, or talk about the stuff that Martin put together from locally caught produce 2 hours before, like taken out of the sea 2 hours before, and he's cooking it there. And it's going up on Twitter. And I'm in Cork going, yeah, because I would have loved to have been there, but I just didn't have time to do it. But I was taking part in a way in this event, even if it was geographically separated from the event. So Twitter can be extraordinary when it comes to this. And you don't see that maybe in any other kind of media right now. So, I'm over time, this is great. So LinkedIn, again, Simon talked about that. One thing just on that though is work really hard on a profile. Set up a good profile for yourself. The way LinkedIn works is it's business personal profile. So it's you representing your company, but it's via you more than your company itself. And just put the right keywords in there and what you do and build it and make contacts like that and feed your contacts and work with your contacts over time. And so what you do then is that you can get yourself and your contacts and maybe your staff and their contacts to talk about events and talk to people on LinkedIn, business people, and saying, I'm going to this event, are you going to that? Let's meet up. So we haven't met up in ages, why not meet up at this event? And lastly, now we have extra time. Okay, so the other question was about keeping stuff in-house and keeping stuff quiet. So there are two kind of big tools out there at the moment that replicate what Twitter does. One is a company called Yammer. That's just about to be bought, I think, by Microsoft for $1 billion. And I remember when they were just a kid. They launched about 3 years ago at a thing called TechCrunch 50, and they got about $50,000 investment for this idea. And they basically said, we're a rip-off of Twitter, but it's for corporates. So it's internal comms only, not external. And you have to sign up with a company email address to get access to Yammer, and you can talk to all your staff. The BBC were big proponents of this, and they were one of the first to actually use it. And everyone at the BBC now has a Yammer account. And they're after showing that the amount of email going through the BBC system has gone way down as people have public conversations, but inside in the BBC, not outside the BBC. And so you could do the same for events. You could sign up, get people to sign up through Yammer, through your own conference website, or just for your own company. If it's an all hands-on meeting but internal, you still want people to talk about it just with each other, not the public, then you could be using the likes of Yammer. Or Salesforce has another version called Chatter. Same idea again, that just through the cloud, you go in and you've got this system here, and you can do all the stuff that Twitter does, your hashtags, you can have longer conversations, you can share files as well, all internal. It cuts down on all that stuff about email, really. And as an aside, I did a survey of teenagers last year, and I did one the year before, and one of the reasons that I did it was I saw teenagers exchanging tweets with each other and someone going, that's odd. I have 6 minutes, 37 seconds, apparently. And they said, or I don't, do I? I'll hurry up, sorry. Teenagers said, that was odd. Somebody else goes, what? I just sent an email. Why the hell would you send an email? What a waste of time. I had to type in an email address and I had to put in a subject. Why would you want to do that? And the other person going, God, yeah, email, fuck's sake, that's crap. And the survey that I did showed that it's text, it's Facebook, it's phone calls, and then it's email the way they communicate nowadays. So the next generation won't be using email really. They do at the moment, but not in the next while. And the last bit, and I'll shut up then, is geography is dead. I streamed the measurement conference. It was a last minute thing. I wasn't going to tell people in advance I was streaming it because I wouldn't have gotten ticket sales. So once tickets were sold out, I announced that we were streaming it. It cost 500 quid. Stuck it up on live stream, live feed for the day, just one guy with a camera, plugged into the audio system, and that was it. Simple as. We had about 100 people on the stream at any one time, I think, during the peak of it, which was great. Maybe people that will come along to the event next year. But importantly, the Irish Times didn't come to the event, and a lot of media didn't come to the event, but they had it switched on in the office and they were streaming it. And the following day, they did a piece on the measurement event and talked about all the speakers and what they said and all the points, all because of somebody sitting in an office in the Irish Times who were unable to spend a day at my event, but still watched it. And I got media coverage out of it, and my sponsor got media coverage out of it, so they were happier again. So it's that idea that the likes of streaming outside of the room and interacting with people outside of the room is becoming more important. You just need to make sure that it's done very, very well. And lastly, and it's already been said by Simon, is make sure you have reliable Wi-Fi. Going back to those foodies, some of the restaurants were talking about having this Twitter meetup. So all these food bloggers getting together at an event, and somebody said, you don't have Wi-Fi. You can't have an event if there's no Wi-Fi because they can't tweet about it and they can't put up the photographs, and it's a complete waste to get all these people into a room and then not give them internet access. That's what they're there for, in part at least. So have Wi-Fi. And one last bit is a friend of mine was at the qualifier, or not the qualifiers, but the championships again in Poznan, and he tweeted there the other day, and he said a very interesting thing was there was more questions when people going into bars saying, or bars and hotels saying, what's the Wi-Fi password, than people actually asking, do you sell beer? Because the whole of Poznan and all the other locations all have free Wi-Fi as well. And the amount of people talking about the games, the build up to the games, the post events was absolutely huge. And we were all back home interacting with those people over in Poland as if we were interacting with them in the same room because of that free Wi-Fi. So it's very, very important. So I'll shut up now and thank you for your time.